What do you think of a country that punishes drug criminals by executing them by firing squad? Do you think this is proper justice or a bit extreme? And have we any right to pass an opinion on the laws of another country? This is the story of a British grandmother who has been basically sentenced to death by an Indonesian court. And here's the story as it goes. An Indonesian court has upheld a death sentence for a British woman convicted of smuggling $2.5 million worth of cocaine onto the resort island of Bali. The Bali High Court rejected an appeal from Lindsay June Sandiford, a 56-year-old grandmother who was convicted in January by a district court and sentenced to face firing squad. The decision on her appeal came last week, and Sandiford has 14 days to appeal that ruling to the National Supreme Court, who... Sandiford was arrested last May with 3.8 kilograms of cocaine, and which was discovered stuffed inside the lining of her luggage at Bali's International Airport. Now, during the trial, she said she was forced to carry the drugs by a gang that threatened to hurt her children. The court surprised many by issuing a death sentence, and prosecutors had only sought 15 years in prison for Ms. Sandiford. 4 other defendants connected to the case, 3 Britons and an Indian, were sentenced to jail terms ranging from 1 to 6 years. So that's the story. And the question that we're asking is, has a country, have other countries any right to object to the laws in somewhere like Bali? If you import drugs into Bali, you can face the death penalty. That's their law. Them's the rules. And it would appear that this woman broke the rules. Now, obviously, she's going to claim that she obviously wasn't able to prove this, but claimed that she was threatened and her family was going to be hurt if she didn't do it. But the fact of the matter is, this woman was caught with 3.8 kilos of cocaine in her bag at Bali International Airport. Let that be a warning to any one of you that might consider even bringing a bit of hash to Bali with you. Don't do it. Do not do it. Because if they catch you, you could face a very serious penalty, up as far as death by firing squad. Carl, you're on FM104. How are you, Carl?
All right, how's things?
Grand, thank you, Carl.
Go on, what are you going to
Yeah, no, go on. You are an ex-addict yourself, is that right?
Yeah.
And what did you want to say on this?
Yeah. Pardon?
What did you want to say on this?
I definitely believe that she should, because the amount of people that she would have killed and the lives that she would have ruined if that drug had made it into that country. And it's one thing if you get duped into doing something, but her story, no way. If you're carrying that amount of drugs, you know what's in them. Well, at the end of it, when she'd have getting the drugs in, she would have took on me, or would she have went to the police? If so, if it was the truth.
In other words, when she arrived in the airport, would she have gone straight to the police and say, my family are under threat?
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't. I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about. So therefore, I think it does fit the crime. Because look at the people that she would have killed with the drugs and the families that she would have ruined.
Okay, now the question that we're asking tonight is, firstly, have we any right to even pass an opinion on the laws of another country? And secondly, is the punishment of death by firing squad not a bit over the top?
No, not for that. Because living as an addict is misery in itself, and it's like throwing a stone into a river. The ripple effect through your family is devastating. And I know because I've done it firsthand.
Okay, so what you're saying is the ripple effect of this woman importing $2.5 million worth of cocaine into Bali is that it'll screw up so many lives as a direct result of what she did.
She want to look at Dublin.
Okay, but
that's gone.
But death by firing squad.
Well, what would you rather? A head chopped off, electrocuted, or would you like to be injected with the drug and be killed that way?
Okay, so you think that it is reasonable and we've no right to give out about it? Well, let me ask you, do you think...
has their own opinion, but what I'm saying is she knew what she was doing.
Well, she claims that she was coerced into doing it, but...
As you said, she has no backup, no proof, no nothing. But as I said, right, she carried the bag. Why didn't she go to one of the things and said that she was getting threatened?
So you don't believe that story either?
No, that's, as I said, people have been duped into carrying a kilo or something like that, but not the likes of that.
3.8 kilos is what she had.
There's no way, not at all. Don't believe her story at all. And grandmother or not, even if she had a halo for doing great things in the community, that woman knew what she was doing and the devastation that she would have brought into that country.
Okay, so you think that the country is well within its rights to execute this woman by firing squad if that's the way they do things?
Well, as I said, if it was your child on drugs and ended up dead because this person brought them in, what would you want to do to them?
All right, stay there for a second. Linda, you're on FM104. How are you, Linda?
Hi.
Now, the point that Carl is making is the devastation that drugs cause. We need to punish people severely for breaking those laws.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful that I don't think anybody should be put to death or anything like that over drugs. Obviously, she knew what she was doing, probably bringing the drugs into the country. It's harsh enough getting prison, but not by death, to be killed or anything like that. I think that's absolutely terrible. That's just, I don't know.
Now, obviously, I mean, to us, it sounds like a barbaric form of punishment.
Sorry, Adrian?
Yes, go on, yeah.
Say if that woman's son or daughter OD'd on drugs, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You tell me that woman wouldn't like to kill the fella that sold the drugs to her son or daughter? Personally, she wouldn't like to kill them herself.
Well, Linda?
There's a question for her.
Obviously, yes, there would be an awful lot of
there you go.
anger and all that there. But I know, and it is terrible, people bringing drugs into the country, and she obviously knew what she was doing. But she'd be punished enough by prison, but not to kill a person. Do you know what I mean? That's.
But as I said, she was going to be bringing drugs in, and she would have been killing loads of other people.
Yeah,
she would have been killing other people, and she wasn't batting an eyelid. She was only thinking of the cash at the end of the day.
Probably
so. As they say, an eye for an eye.
Yeah, maybe so, but I still don't agree. I think that's too harsh for somebody's life to be taken like that. Life is so precious. It's too harsh,
You see, there are people, Linda, that believe that we should have punishments like that here as well, and that would very quickly clean up the drug problem in Ireland.
I don't think so.
Adrian, as I said, you've only to look at how bad Dublin's gone. Even I started when I was only 14. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought it was hash oil I was taking. I didn't know I was strung out until 3 years I was on it.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I had a flu when I hadn't got it. I didn't know I had to get methadone. I thought I was smoking hash oil. The people these days are well up on drugs, and not that I don't pity them, but anyone that goes on them in their 20s or even earlier than that now, I just don't have the pity that I would have years ago, because there's too much information out there for them now.
I have to be honest with you, I would agree with a lot of what you just said. But
that's what I mean, regards to that woman. She would have killed thousands of people. 3.5 kids.
Okay, Linda, you still there? Linda? Oh, she's gone. Okay, we'll get her back in a minute. John, you're on FM104. How are you, John?
Yeah, how you doing?
How are you, John? Death by firing squad for a woman who imported $2.5 million worth of cocaine into Indonesia. What do you think of that?
Well, do you know what I think, John, Adrian? This wasn't her first time. She's done this before. This wasn't a once-off for her. And to turn around and say that her son-in-law was getting threatened. To say that, well, she probably has a big house and she has money stashed off somewhere, and this was the time that she got caught. I have a brother that died from drugs and his wife died from drugs, and the same what drugs do to people. These cunts they're just fucking living off misery. That's all they're doing. They're going out to foreign countries and they're bringing over, whatever they have henchmen behind them and sending over. She's like Mrs. Mother Bleeding Hubbard back here in Ireland. She has stashes of money everywhere, and she's big houses and she's big cars and she's big a fucking bank account with all this recession and all that. These think that they're getting away. They're going out to these countries that they have laws that you go over there and you know what I mean. She wasn't doing her homework. This is what it is. These blokes that had her going over. Maybe she wasn't doing it by herself, but she was doing it by big guys behind her all. And this time she got fucking caught, and she got caught in a country that fortunately should I say, that the death penalty is in, and she fucking deserves it. She didn't go over. She went over there lying to turn around and say that my son was going to get shot. This is all a big fucking...
well, no, yeah, I mean, you'd say the same yourself, wouldn't you, if you thought it was going to get you off? But they obviously did. They obviously didn't take that at all. So you think that it is proper order and that this woman deserves execution by firing squad?
Yeah, that's one other evil cunt gone off this earth.
Oh, stop using that word, will you? I hate that word in the show.
Sorry, Adrian.
Okay, so you think that this is proper order?
Proper order, yeah.
And do you think that when it comes to drug laws, that our laws are too lax? Should we have laws like that?
Of course you should. Why not? Come on, I'll tell you, nobody knows it came out about her because she hasn't been caught before, but she's caught now. It's as simple as that. And she had a lie to make out that if she did get caught in this country, like, just say this and say that, they might give you a few years or whatever. Leniency on you, whatever. No way. She's had to bring in misery all over this world, probably. You don't know where she, or I don't know where she's had to been before she went off to that country, and she's bringing misery. She knew what she was doing. She was getting money out of it. I don't know how much she was getting, but she was bringing misery into countries, and she's an evil bitch. And that's it. End of story. The day she's gone now, good luck.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. 6797104 is our telephone number. What a lot of people are saying is that this woman deserves the death penalty, and even by firing squad, John. Doesn't bother you? Doesn't bother you what way she's being executed, no?
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
No, because I've seen the misery that was brought on my family through the whole lot of them. Any of the doorboards out there that sell it. Or any of them that deport her off to other countries and all. It's the same. It doesn't matter what they are, Chinese, Japanese, what country they go to. It's that they're doing the same thing to children, to innocent kids that's over there, like, out robbing other people. Like, that's what has the war. The likes of her and all the cronies behind that and all. Like, they have to war like this.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Declan, you're on FM104. How are you, Declan?
How are you?
Declan, turn down the radio, Dec.
How are you?
Turn down the radio, good man.
How are you? How are you, Adrian?
Grand, thank you. Now, what did you want to say on this?
How are you?
Will you turn the radio down?
Yeah. How are you? Turn down the radio. You're talking complete bollocks.
Who is?
Yeah, who am I talking about?
I'm Adrian, for God's sake.
It's down.
Declan, I'll ring you back in a minute when you get your brain in gear, for God's sake. Andrew, you're on FM104. How are you, Andrew?
How you doing, Adrian?
Grand, thanks, Andrew. What did you want to say on this?
I think they're right. I think anybody who's engaged in drugs or any sort of antisocial activities like that should be just taken off the planet. They're peddling nothing but misery, and they should execution by firing squad, hanging, whatever. Yep.
And should we have the same sort of laws here?
Oh yeah, I would fully. If that was a referendum in the morning, I would vote for it. For every one of them, even in this country. To be
execution by firing squad for drug dealers or people importing drugs into the country.
Oh yeah, taken out the same way. Basically, don't waste your time putting them into jail. Just take them out, shoot them, get rid of them. And then maybe the next group that gets up and kind of carries on might think twice.
So you have no sympathy when you hear the story of a 56-year-old grandmother who's about to be executed by firing squad?
No, man, woman, child or beast, I couldn't care less. At the end of the day, if you carry on with antisocial behaviour such as drugs or whatever, you deserve what's coming down the line to you. And that's my final view on it, and I wouldn't change it for 1 minute.
Now, I was about to talk to Declan there, who said people are talking bollocks. I don't know where he was going with that, because he's... we rang him back, but he hasn't managed to click his brain in gear.
This way, Adrian, I mean, at that caller there, and a few callers have said, you had a person there who was on drugs there who said, got off drugs. How many people's lives have been ruined by drugs in this country and all over the world?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, how many families have been ruined by drugs? So then why should these people be allowed to live or be put into jail and be let out in a few years' time or a slap in the hand, don't do it again? No, like the Chinese, like whoever these countries are, whatever their criminal system is, if that's the way you take care of drugs, that's the way you take care of them. And then maybe the drug problem would be cleaned up.
And you don't think anybody has a right to object to this, any right to say this is a bit over the top, the British government making representations on our behalf and all of that?
No. Do-gooders, they have no right to interfere, because at the end of the day, them people, the do-gooders out there, are keeping these people on the streets, the drug dealers on the streets, and they are themselves creating misery on the streets by keeping them people there. There should be a law here in this country to execute them as well, and that's the way it is. Go back to the old days of 1800s where they used to hung, drawn and quarter them. Do the same again, because it's the only capital punishment. It's the only way to deal with crimes and antisocial behaviour in any country.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Lisa, you're on FM104. How are you, Lisa?
Well, what's the crack?
How are you? What did you want to say on this, Lisa?
Well, I can't believe that so many people actually think that this woman should be executed. Like, she's an old lady and people are saying that she should
Well, no, she's not an old lady. She's only 56.
Well, in my eyes, I think that's like an elderly... Well, not too old, but I mean, she's a grown lady and people are saying she should be executed for bringing in drugs. Like, she's not even from that country, so why should she be shot, like, or even be executed? She shouldn't have to go by their laws. She's not even...
Why should she not have to go by their laws? She broke their laws going into their country.
Well, she's not even of their nationality, and even still, right, why do so many people want her to be executed? It's not even her. She's not even the big bad wolf in this. It's the people who go and take the fucking drugs. Why would anyone execute her? She's only bringing them in. Like, she's only thinking of the money. People are still going to buy the drugs. And she's not even of that nationality. So why should they be allowed to kill somebody from another nationality?
Well, hang on. If somebody comes into Ireland and they shoot you dead, would you not expect them to be punished here?
Well,
of course you would.
I wouldn't expect them to be killed.
Yeah, we just...
Not even of this nationality.
Yeah, but hang on. We don't have death penalty laws here in Ireland. In Indonesia, they do.
Yeah, I know, but that should only account for Indonesian people and all that, or whatever they're called. That should only account for people who live in that country. She doesn't live in that country, so she could just say she didn't understand the full extent. Like, I mean, if she knew this was going to happen, she wouldn't have done it. But I mean,
well, there you go, Andrew. God love her. She didn't know what she was going to face.
Sorry for that poor woman.
Yeah, I've been listening to that girl there now. At the end of the day, or woman there, I should say, at the end of the day, she knew exactly what she was doing if she was importing drugs. Anybody who imports drugs deserves everything to get. You know what you're doing.
And they don't deserve to be shot, though, the poor woman.
They do.
Oh, no, I feel so sorry for that lady and her family.
The only way you get rid of a cancer out of society is to take her out by hanging.
Well, hang on a minute. All those people and those druggies that are living in there, they're still walking the streets and they're still alive. All she was trying to do was supply to them. They're the problem, not her. Why would people want to take her out? Take out the fucking druggies.
Take them both.
Well, hang on. If you take out people like her, then the drugs aren't going to get in.
Yeah.
They still will. And who the fuck do they think they are, shooting somebody from another country? The people from her country, are they not going to retaliate? Like, I know if it was somebody from Ireland, I'd go fucking crazy to think that they went over to that country and those psychos over there shot someone from my country.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I wouldn't care less.
I'd have a seizure, I would.
In fact, I'd want to watch her on the television. That's how much I have. How much I loathe these people in society. At the end of the day,
on the radio before, and you've got a boner for this kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I can tell you one thing: the only way you deal with the drugs problem in this country and any other country is to take them out.
Okay, Lisa, in Indonesia, okay, they have extremely strict anti-drugs laws. Very, very strict anti-drugs laws. Anybody who has anything to do with drugs knows that. And if they don't know that, they should know that. They should make it their business to know that. There are 40 foreigners on death row in Indonesia. They were all convicted of drug charges. So that's how serious the Indonesians treat drugs.
Now, I'm sorry, Adrian, but that's just a load of my ring. She's not even from that country. Why would they take her out? It's the people who are getting the drugs that they should be taken out, not that poor woman. If that poor woman did...
Well, no, hang on. She's hardly a poor woman, God love her. $2.5 million worth of cocaine.
There's people doing worse, I tell you, and there's people doing worse in this country, and they're barely getting time in prison. And yet she gets bullets shot through her. A load of my ring, that is just the worst thing ever. And I feel so sorry for that lady because she obviously had no idea the extent of what she was doing and she had no idea what was going to happen. What really sickens me is these people in these countries think they can take somebody of another nationality, that they should be able to inflict...
But she broke the laws in that country.
I don't care if she broke broke the law in that country. Who are they to shoot her because of that?
John, what about that point, that it's a disgrace that this country is planning to execute a foreign national? You there, John?
Yeah, how you doing, Adrian?
Basically, Lisa's point was it's a disgrace that they're planning to execute a foreign national.
Yeah, so why is it a disgrace? Like, that woman, as I says, like, was going into these places and she knew this wasn't her first time. I'm telling you for a fact, she's done this before.
You don't know that, though.
Sorry?
You don't know that wasn't her first time. You're suffering a big case of verbal diarrhea. That's what you have.
Come in and tell us, see you with all your vulgar words and all. You probably know a load of drug dealers and all. This is what you're on.
Well, I would not dabble with any of that, but I feel sorry for that poor woman who got taken out, and it wasn't even her fucking country to be taken out of in the first place.
Lisa, have you? Have you anybody out of your family that ever died from drugs?
Well, no, I wouldn't have anything to do with anybody on drugs now, in fairness.
Did you ever see any misery through drugs? Where do you live?
Well, I'm from the country originally.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Up near Dundalk there.
Yeah, did you ever see anybody?
I don't know what relevance this is in this conversation. You're just...
Well, there's a lot of relevance in it because I had family that died from drugs and I was in fucking hospital looking at them dying in front of me on a bed.
You know what? I feel sorry for that poor woman. Well, your family, in fairness, this isn't about your family, right? Your family chose to take the...
This is about the devastation that drugs cause.
But these people decide to take it themselves, Adrian. This woman is enforcing it on them. In fairness, and she wasn't even really sick.
But hang on, she was smuggling it into a country that has extremely strict laws on drugs.
I couldn't give...
The world and his granny knows that.
I couldn't give two shits. I don't think that she should have been shot because she's not even from... Am I right in saying she was a UK citizen?
She is, yeah.
Yeah, well then, she should be sent home to serve her punishment in her country. She should not be shot. It sickens me to me gut.
She went to their country.
It doesn't fucking matter where she went.
Of course it matters where she went. She's a fucking big fat fucker that went over selling drugs to people and bringing misery to another person.
If these people were taking them, she wouldn't have gone over.
But like I said, Lisa, she was flouting laws in a country that is notoriously... And I don't know if you're aware, Indonesia is notoriously strict against drugs. Places like Thailand are notoriously strict against drugs.
If you're Indonesian or Thai and you live in these countries, fair enough. You're born, your passports, everything is with these countries. Fair enough, drugs shouldn't be, and it's not a law, like it's illegal everywhere. But I mean, wherever you're from should be the place you serve your punishment. And what's really sad about this is that poor woman has to be executed now, live out the remainder of her days for doing something that she probably didn't realise the extent of what she was doing. I feel sorry for her.
She knows this woman in some way, and that's why she's picking up for her.
I don't know this woman at all. I wouldn't have anything to do with anyone on drugs.
Well, she's probably a cousin or something from England or something.
You need to go to the doctor and get an L tablet for your case of verbal diarrhea because you're talking utter shite.
Go away. You speak up. If there was a drug dealer on the corner, you'd probably go down and hide him in your fucking bed.
I would never even talk to a drug dealer.
But hang on, how can you defend this woman then? How can you possibly defend a woman importing €2.5 million worth of cocaine into a country that has... I have nothing to do with drugs, Lisa, but I know Indonesia and Thailand and China and places like this are extremely strict on drugs.
Well, she might have been a bit naive.
Come on.
You don't know that she wasn't being put up to this, Adrian. Now just
go away.
For a second, right?
Not arm in the airport.
What really, it just gets to me so much that I'd love to know what the English government think of them.
The English government have said, and I'll tell you what they said, we are disappointed to hear that her appeal has been refused by the High Court in Bali. The UK strongly opposes the death penalty and has made representations to the Indonesian government on this matter. That's what they've said.
You have to say that.
Get her out because that's not fucking fair that she should go by their laws. She's an English citizen. Go to prison, serve your time. She does not deserve to be shot. The only people that deserve to be shot are the wankers taking the drugs. They're stupid enough to take them, then why would she not give them out? If you're going to get a fuckload of money, you're just a fucktard. Shut the fuck up.
People that take drugs, they're low in their life in the first place.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I want to do. I've just put up a poll on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/FM104 phone show. And the question we're asking is, does this grandmother deserve the death penalty for this crime? She imported €2.5 million worth of drugs into Bali. Does she deserve the death penalty? If you want to vote on that, log on to our Facebook page, facebook.com/FM104 phone show. Kelly, you're on FM104. How are you, Kelly?
Hey, Adrian.
How are you, Kelly? What do you make of this story?
Well, Adrian, I think it's a living disgrace for what she did, to be honest. And I think she deserves what she deserves at the end of the day, because I have family that died from drugs. I was listening to that man as well, saying that he had family and he'd seen them die. And at the end of the day, I have 3 brothers, and still to this day, Adrian, they're strung out on heroin and crack cocaine. And it's so hard seeing them.
Now, Lisa's argument is that's their stupid fault for doing it in the first place.
No. Do you know what I mean? Everyone tries, Adrian, at the end of the day. If them sellers weren't out there to sell them drugs, kids will be buying heroin. That's what I'm thinking anyway. There's young kids, very young kids, at 17 and 16 and all out there smoking heroin.
I know, but I just heard from it was either John or one of them a few minutes ago that there's enough information now about drugs that there's no excuse for 16 and 17-year-olds starting to take heroin. Do you know what I mean? A 12-year-old knows not to go near heroin.
Yeah,
if you go through heroin, if you go near heroin, you're an absolute gobshite.
Yeah, well, there's people don't think that, Adrian, when they're taking it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they should before they do.
Thinking, the buzz they're going to get from this. They're not thinking like all the sickness that they're going to get behind it all. Like, I've watched my brothers go through this for years and years and years. Now, I've never touched drugs in my life, but I watch my brothers going through this all the time. And
so this woman is facing... Yes, go on, Lisa, yeah.
Everybody that's ringing in saying that woman should be shot, they're all people who are related or close to people who have taken drugs and died. Like, can I just tell all these people, your family and your friends chose to take those fucking drugs. Nobody forced it into their arms or down their fucking neck.
Bring the drugs over, so if you're saying that
she's providing a service. If they don't want to avail of that service, nobody's forcing them to. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to avail of that service. So obviously you're going to ring up defending it saying that she's wrong because you had family in the situation.
Oh, she is wrong. She's wrong. All that drugs.
You know what? Another case of verbal diarrhea. Nobody in this country seems to have a fucking brain anymore.
You should just get off the line.
You should get off the line. You're only coming on here to try and defend and...
Hang on a minute. Do you have kids yourself?
Yeah, I do have kids.
You do. What have your kids grown up to be smoking heroin or smoking crack or smoking?
I think you mean grew up. And if they grew up, they wouldn't because, you know what, I teach them right from the very start.
How do you know?
If they did, that's their choice. Nobody's forcing it on them.
But if there was no one out there selling these drugs, your kids wouldn't be taking them. So
there's enough ads out there, enough examples out there. You see it on the streets of Dublin when you're walking around. There's enough examples of why people should not...
everywhere.
Exactly, that's my whole point.
Okay, Kelly, you believe that if it's the law in Indonesia to execute people for importing drugs into the country, then this woman is getting what she deserves?
Yeah, she deserves every bit of it, Adrian, every bit of it. And she said she should, it's terrible because she's not in her own country getting it. At the end of the day, I've had family that went to different countries and picked up a criminal yoke and had to do time over there, and they weren't in their own country. It's their own problem, Adrian.
They should be in their own country. They should be in their own country.
Well, they don't.
Who the fuck are they to take an English citizen and kill them? They have no right. They should be brought...
Because she broke... Lisa, the point I made to you already is if I'm a foreign national and I murder you tomorrow, I'm going to be punished here in Ireland. We just don't happen to have... We don't happen to have the death penalty here in this country, but they do in Indonesia. They do in many other countries.
Adrian, all those people in those countries are bloody psychos.
Okay, Anne, you're on FM104. How are you, Anne?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Grand, thank you, Anne. Now...
Lisa.
You want to talk to Lisa? Yeah. Go on, yeah.
Lisa.
What?
How dare you? How dare you?
Another case of verbal diarrhea. Let's go. Bring it on.
You're saying there that you have no one in your family connected with drugs. You're a liar.
I do not have anyone in my family connected with drugs, and I would have nothing doing with people who do drugs. Nothing doing with them.
You have someone belongs to you that's very close to you
that died and had connections with drugs, by Jesus, you'll know what you're talking about.
You know what? It is the people who take the drugs. It is not. Shut your mouth for a minute and stop your shite talking. Or what? Bring it on.
You should be shot.
I should be shot. You obviously have someone in your family that's suffered.
You see, Lisa, the bit I don't get is here you are saying you've nothing to do with drugs, you despise drugs, blah, blah, blah. Fine, that's great. But how could you possibly defend in any way somebody who imported $2.5 million worth of cocaine into Indonesia?
Because she doesn't deserve the death penalty. And another thing that makes it even worse is the fact that she's not even from the fucking country. Can you shut the fuck up for 5 minutes?
Sorry, can we mind the language, please? Lisa, please mind the language or I'll have to cut you off.
She's seriously annoying me, like. She just needs to shut up for 5 minutes. You obviously... Can I just say something here, Anne, or whatever your name is? You obviously have...
Not whatever. Whatever your name is.
You know what? I'm going to call you whatever your name is because that's what I want to call you.
Come in, I tell you. Come in, I tell you.
Whatever your name is, right?
When you're a mother...
I am a mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a mother, actually.
Because them that's raiding should be spading.
But you know what? Everybody coming on here preaching that drug dealers should be shot. It's all because they have druggies in their families, or they've lost druggies people in their families.
Drugs, have you not, love?
No, and you think you know me, do you? That I'm connected to drugs. I have nothing doing with drugs. If I did find out any of my family were doing drugs, they'd be gone.
Well, all your family is dealers.
Well, my family. You know what? You sound like your family is a dealer.
Come in, I tell you something. Them that's raiding should be spared.
Go on, tell me something. I'm absolutely so intrigued. I'm jumping off the side of me seat here.
Oh, yeah, you should be.
No, I'm nearly wetting myself. Come on.
Well, you should be. You're talking about everyone have diarrhea. You are diarrhea. You are diarrhea.
Oh, I didn't realise I was in the school playground here.
Because may God forgive you.
Jesus, with the comment you're coming out of, I think you're on something yourself tonight. All I said was I don't think that woman should be shot. And I'm sick of people who have family who are on drugs coming on trying to defend them and make light of what they're doing. They chose to take it. I'll tell you one thing, nothing was shoved down their throats. Whoever it was in your family, because I know by listening to you that there was someone in your family, because that's why you're coming on. I'm sick. I am sick to my teeth of hearing people trying to blame the drug dealers for everything as if they're innocent, as if these people are innocent and that they never wanted to take the drugs. These people go looking for the drugs. They go looking to buy, and a lot of the time drug dealers turn them away. There are drug dealers that turn people away unless they know them, and it's all closed circles and all that.
Drug dealers, do you?
Oh well, I watch documentaries, I watch films.
I don't know all about any addicts, but you know all about drug dealers.
I know things about addicts because I'm not a total fucktard. I do know things about adults.
You are one sick person.
Addicts. I'm not a sick person. The sick people are the people who come on and try and blame the drug dealers for everything that's going on. Sure.
You see, I have to be honest with you, Lisa. As somebody who claims to have nothing to do with drugs, I find it extraordinary that you would in any way try to defend drug dealers.
I'm not trying to defend what this woman did. I do think she should serve some kind of punishment, but I mean not to be taken out by those psycho bastards over there. They're outside.
So are you fundamentally opposed to the death penalty? Full stop.
Fundamentally opposed, and you know what? It makes it even worse that these people aren't. She's not even belonging to their nationality. Who the fuck are they to kill one of ours or one of somebody else's?
Okay, stay there for a second. Darren, you're on FM104. How are you, Darren?
How's it going? Maybe she can talk to me without Coercion once.
Lisa, I'd appreciate it if you keep the language to a minimum, please.
It's unreal. Lisa, you're the most unintelligent, uneducated person I've ever heard in my life. You go to a country, it doesn't matter whether it be Australia, whatever, you obey the rules that are in that country, you obey their laws. If the law is, if there's a death sentence or a death penalty for importing drugs, don't import drugs. If the law is there, you murder somebody, your life is taken. Don't murder them.
Should be a person.
Hold on. You've had your say. Hold on. No. Excuse me. No, it's not. You're in their country. You obey their laws. Come here. It's not. Lisa, it's not rocket science. And you said fundamental there. I don't think you could spell it, love. Come here, let me tell you something. You obviously, you claim you don't know anyone on drugs and that. You obviously have a penchant or a little bit of a soft spot for the drug dealer, because that's all you're doing is defending drug dealers since you come on here.
I'm not defending.
Hold on, let me make my point. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Anyone else who comes on is a fucktard or a fuck this or fuck that. You haven't.
I need somebody with a bit of intelligence on this show tonight.
Come here, you want to go home and you want come here, you listen to me. Whatever halting site you came from, you want to go back and go and get some education on it because you are an absolute moron.
Live on a halting site.
You're a moron of the highest order.
I'm a moron.
You are a moron. You haven't made one. You haven't said, since you've been on, you haven't said one sensible thing. All you've done is abuse people who come on. You've abused people whose family have died from drugs.
I'm not abusing them. All I'm saying.
Hold on a second. Listen, you listen back to this. You go. There's a thing called a computer. You can go and you can get on it and listen back to the show and listen to the abuse you've given people here.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't given anyone a chance.
Doesn't mean I don't know what a computer is.
Okay, Darren, the question that I'm asking tonight, the question that we're asking tonight, and I want to hear from other people who maybe not as vocal as Lisa, but who agree with what Lisa is saying, that a country has no right to execute a foreign national. You obviously believe, Darren, that they have every right to execute her.
If you go into a country, no matter what the country is, you obey their laws. If the law is in these foreign countries, Indonesia, Bali, these places, is execution. It's Turkey. You've obviously seen the movie with Brad Dourif in it, the Midnight Express.
Midnight Express, yeah.
You go into these countries, it's not like she was taking in personal usage. She had 2.5 million worth of cocaine for sale. On top of that, you hadn't heard the whole story until you said she was a granny. I nearly fell out of the bleeding car here because
she's a 56-year-old grandmother, yeah. A 56-year-old grandmother.
I have some sympathy for somebody who had personal usage on them or a small amount of drugs for sale, who you'd say, well, they made a small mistake, they cop onto them, says 2.5 million. And she's a grown woman.
Okay, here's what the ruling judges said. The judges ruled that there were no mitigating circumstances, and that this woman had damaged Bali's image as a tourist destination and weakened Indonesia's tough anti-drugs program. Prisoners sentenced to death in Indonesia are executed by a 10-man firing squad. And your argument is, Darren, that if that's the law in that country, then don't break the law.
Don't break the law, full stop. Don't go in, don't bring drugs into a country where it's so strict on it. If you were the same, that's the problem with these countries that we're living in, the likes of Ireland, England, so on, these Western countries who have soft laws, people get away with ridiculous things in these countries. If you go to a country, you made a very valid point yourself. If you murder somebody, if that's the case, I go out tomorrow and I'm in Australia and I murder someone out in Australia. According to Lisa's understanding is, well, I should be sent back to Dublin so I can serve my time in Dublin. No, you should do whatever the sentence is, or whatever if it's life sentence, life should mean life for a start. If you're out in Australia, you serve it in Australia. That's where you committed a crime. It's not rocket science.
Okay, Lisa, do you not just get that? It's as simple as that. If you break the laws in a certain country, you have to expect the punishment that they mete out.
No, wrong. All wrong.
No, Lisa, you're a brain dead.
All wrong.
Come here, Lisa, there's a saying. Listen to me, you clown, you absolute clown. Listen, there's a saying, you reap what you sow.
Why not calling me names?
You reap what you sow. I said you're a clown. I didn't say you're a fucking clown like you spoke all night.
Don't calling me a clown is still getting abused.
Clown, you're an absolute moron.
With
the intelligence of a gnat. You are, if you had half a brain, you'd be lopsided. You're thick as a bull's bollocks. Excuse me language, I've had enough of this one. You know something? You'd want to go...
If you commit a crime, you get tried at home in your own country. That is a load of shit that they have to be...
No, you don't, love. Excuse me. If you go to another country and
you'd be getting sent home. And if I was English government, I'd be going in by force and taking them home.
Lisa, if you got a job, never mind in charge. You've no brain power whatsoever, love. If you go
is that your only form of comeback, is it? You don't have a proper conversation.
I'll tell you something. If you go to a country, you commit a crime, you pay your time there.
You see, Lisa, a lot of people are texting and calling in to say that you say on the one hand that you're totally anti-drugs, and yet on the other hand you're almost defending this woman.
No, do you know what? I obviously do not think that drug dealers are good people, right? But there's 2 points I have on this. As I said, she should be brought home, tried at home, and punished at home, sent to prison, whatever. And if I was the English government, I would be in there fighting everything I could to get her out.
With the English government.
Or there would be bloodshed if I was over there.
And
another thing, right? As I said, don't like drug dealers, have nothing to do with them, don't want to know. But that woman obviously had no idea of the extent of the damage or what was going to happen if she was caught.
You're tick. That woman had no idea what. That woman had. Let me explain how you're tick. Let me explain how you're tick.
I was asked a question. Can I answer? Can I say one more thing? Those drug addicts, nobody is forcing it into their arms or down their fucking throats. They're taking.
Come here, Liz. Let me say something there. Let me reply to what you've just said. I agree with one stupid thing you've said there. Nobody is forcing anyone to take drugs, but that makes the drug dealer immune because, I wasn't forcing them to take it. And you said the most ridiculous, ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life about 10 minutes ago, where some drug dealers actually send people away. They do, and they're shite.
They do. Drug dealers
do, and they're shite.
They'll only sell in small circles.
You'd want to stop smoking wherever you're smoking. Lisa, you want to stop smoking wherever you're smoking.
That poor woman isn't even going to get her right to be tried.
That woman,
right as a UK citizen, she should have the right she should have at home. She should have the same right over there. Those Indonesian bastards.
Are you listening? Are you listening? She's a UK citizen, not an Indonesian citizen. She's in Indonesia. She's not in the UK. She's committed a crime in Indonesia.
It's on her passport. She should be sent home.
You reap what you sow.
No, you do not.
So yes, you do.
Reap what you sow. Reap what you sow at home in your country. They have no right to take a UK person's life.
Okay, let me bring in some more. Stay there for a second. I want to bring in some more calls on this. Fiona, you're on FM104. How are you, Fiona?
Oh, Adrian, someone should give her some drugs to calm her down.
She's well done.
To be honest, Lisa, I listen to you nearly every night of the week on the radio. You are preposterous the way you're speaking tonight. Drug dealers, that woman
are not to blame.
No, let me speak now. You've had to say, just zip it, Zippy. Okay, zip it.
Not a child. Don't speak to me like I'm one.
You're speaking to people on the radio tonight like they're morons, right? And at the end of the day, you've no respect for yourself. And if you think that woman didn't go to Indonesia knowing what she was doing, she knew the risks she was taking, they were calculated, and she knew the money she was going to make.
No, you know what I think?
No, let me finish.
I think I have no sympathy for any of these people who take drugs. Don't blame the drug dealers. They're not good people.
But I do blame the drug dealers, and I also blame her.
Not be shy. You know what else I think? I think you should all go and fuck yourselves.
You know
I hear Lisa, get off the phone. I'm not going to listen to that sort of language on this programme anymore. Seriously. Rachel, you're on FM104. How are you, Rachel?
Hi there, I'm good. I'm just ringing to say, Lisa that's on the phone, I actually know her, and the only reason why she's defending that woman as the poor woman, as she said, is because she's an ex-junkie herself. She used to come down from Port Leith to Dublin every couple of weeks and
Here, hang on. She's not on the phone to defend herself. I can't let you make allegations against somebody like that. Okay? She's not here to defend herself. She's after hanging up her phone.
Well, I think she's a false excuse for a human being, and I agree with everything Darren and Fiona are saying. I think that woman got herself in, knew what she was getting herself in for.
Do you think that it is fair that somebody is executed by firing squad?
Well, that's the rules in that country. I think you should know what the law is in another country. If it was in this country, I'd say no, because that's not our rules. In another country, if you're going to bring in drugs, and if that's their rules, yeah, it should be treated like anyone else in that country would be. So I think that woman will deserve everything she's going to get.
All right, thank you very much indeed for your call, Rachel. We asked on our Facebook poll for you to vote and ask whether or not you believe that British grandmother deserves the death penalty for importing €2.5 million worth of cocaine into Indonesia. Here's the result of the poll. 31% of you said yes. Interestingly, from our vote, and yet Lisa was was there to defend herself or to argue the case all by herself. Interestingly, on the poll, 64% of you said no, she doesn't deserve the death penalty. Why didn't you ring? Seriously, why didn't you pick up the phone and ring? If 64% of you in our poll are saying that lady shouldn't have gotten the death penalty, why didn't you pick up the phone and call us? Really annoys me, that does sometimes. And 5% of you voted on the poll but had no opinion on it. Why bother voting? Anyway, there you go. 31% of you said yes, she deserves the death penalty. 64% of you said no, and 5% of you said you don't know. And like I said, the 64% of you, I wish you had picked up the phone and backed up Lisa a little bit.